In junior golf, talent is everywhere, but it's rare to see one player stand clearly above the rest. Miles Russell became that exception. As the reigning AJA Player of the Year, his success wasn't built on hype or lucky breaks. It was built on steady, relentless performance. Miles didn't just win sometimes. He performed at the top week after week, tournament after tournament. Among his peers, he set the standard. On the junior circuit, he wasn't viewed as a rising star. He was the benchmark everyone measured themselves against. So when he showed up at the AJA Team Tailor-Made Invitational, no one was surprised. This was the kind of stage built for him, not just to compete, but to win. Analysts had him at the top of every prediction list. Scouts followed his every move, and his rivals knew they were facing someone who'd been here before. Miles knew the courses, the pressure, and most importantly, how to finish strong. With a field packed with young talent, he stood out as the one with proven history, a name already making headlines in outlets like Golf Monthly, NBC Sports, and Reuters for all the right reasons. Miles Russell's name always stood apart, not just as a top competitor, but as the standard everyone else tried to reach. The question was never whether he'd perform. It was who could possibly match him. His swing looked effortless, his rhythm steady and calm, and his focus unshakable. On that tee box, everyone knew whose territory it was. This was Miles Russell's ground, but reputation alone doesn't win tournaments. In golf, every hole can change a story, and sometimes, someone completely unexpected steps up to write a new one. You can have all the experience, the confidence, and the talent, but surprises don't always come from the favorites. They often come from the ones no one's watching. Charlie Woods entered the Team Tailor-Made Invitational with little fanfare. Ranked 606th in the AGA standings, there were no cameras following him, no media interviews, and no buzz from analysts. He wasn't labeled a dark horse, just another name on the tee sheet. His arrival didn't cause a stir, but that's exactly how surprises start. Quietly, he had played at this level before, but never under this kind of spotlight. In 5 AGA events, he had only one top 25 finish, respectable, but not the kind that made headlines. Yet, every shot he took came with extra weight, not because of his record, but because of his last name. When your name is Woods, expectations follow you everywhere, and starting from zero isn't really an option. Charlie would open his first holes with quiet confidence, calm, steady, and fully in control. There were no big celebrations, no dramatic gestures, just smooth, disciplined play from one hole to the next. While many of his peers felt the pressure of the spotlight, Charlie seemed comfortable in the silence, focused only on his game. He wasn't on anyone's radar at first, but with every par and every birdie, he began to draw attention. Not the kind that comes from fame, but from performance. When he finished day one with a round of 70, a few people took notice. But after carding a 65 on day two, no one could look away. This wasn't luck or a lucky streak. It was the result of patience, rhythm, and a plan quietly set in motion long before the tournament began. The son of a legend was finally carving out his own identity, and he was doing it with precision. That second round 65 wasn't just a number, it was a statement. 8 birdies, flawless drives, and iron shots that landed with the accuracy of a seasoned pro. Charlie wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was simply executing with calm confidence. His demeanor said it all. No tension, no overexcitement, just unwavering focus. While others reacted to every mistake or big putt, he stayed composed, maintaining the same tempo all day long. Meanwhile, Miles Russell continued to perform as expected, consistent, sharp, and composed. But as the day went on, something began to change. The attention in the crowd, the chatter among fans and reporters. It wasn't just about Russell's dominance anymore. A new name was starting to echo through the course. Charlie Woods wasn't just competing. He was quietly taking command of the conversation. The focus had shifted. It was all about Charlie's climb. Hole by hole, the momentum grew. Reporters began refreshing leaderboards, coaches followed the live scores closely, and players waiting in the clubhouse started to wonder who they might be paired with next. When an underdog starts rising like that, the question isn't why. It's how long can he keep this up? For the first time that week, Charlie Woods wasn't just a name on the roster. He was a serious contender. And this time, People weren't watching because of his last name. They were watching because of how he was playing, steady, calm, and in full control. By the end of day 2, the whispers had turned into attention. His performance wasn't just catching eyes. It was changing opinions. Some rounds win trophies, others redefine careers, and Charlie's final round of 66 did both. He delivered 8 birdies, avoided any major mistakes, and stayed in complete command of his rhythm. Nothing about it felt accidental. It wasn't luck. It was the product of discipline, patience, and preparation. While many players tightened up under Sunday pressure, Charlie seemed to unlock a new level. His focus sharpened, his confidence grew, and his game spoke for itself. In a tournament filled with top-tier talent and high expectations, he became the one everyone was talking about. Miles Russell still played a strong, composed final round at 8 under, but Charlie's performance stood apart, finishing at 15 under par, winning by 3 strokes against what many called the toughest field of the AEA season. Reuters called it a statement win. And it truly was. Charlie Woods hadn't just won a tournament. He'd announced that he belonged among the best. It wasn't a flash of luck or a one-time fluke. It was a message. What Charlie Woods showed that day wasn't a miracle round. It was mastery. Every shot looked deliberate, every decision measured. No risky swings, no desperate recoveries, just smooth, confident execution from start to finish. As Golf Digest noted, Charlie played with the poise of a seasoned pro. And maybe that was the most striking part. Not that he won, but how he won. He didn't look like someone trying to prove he belonged. He looked like someone confirming what he already knew. When his final putt dropped and the score became official, the course fell quiet. Not from shock, but from understanding. This wasn't just a young player having a good day. This was a new contender arriving with purpose, almost immediately. The buzz spread beyond the course. Within hours of Charlie Woods securing his victory at the Team TaylorMade Invitational, major outlets like Sports Illustrated, The New York Post, and Golf Digest had shifted their headlines. They weren't writing about Tiger's son anymore. They were writing about Charlie Woods, the competitor, the breakout star, the real threat. The tone in the golf world changed overnight. He was no longer just a promising junior player. He was someone others would now have to prepare for. Across social media, coaches and analysts began sharing clips of his swing, highlighting his composure, maturity, and precision, words usually reserved for college standouts or rising professionals. Charlie Woods had officially stepped out of the shadow of his last name and into the spotlight on his own terms. According to Golf Monthly, several NCAA programs quickly began asking themselves how they could have possibly missed Charlie Woods on their radar. His rise wasn't gradual, it was explosive. Fans followed the momentum, and the conversation shifted almost overnight. What started as a pleasant surprise, "It's great to see him competing," turned into a serious question. How far can this kid go? Clips of his final round spread fast online, broken down frame by frame, not to compare him to his father, but to understand how he pulled it off. The rhythm, the composure, the confidence, everything about his game reflected focus and maturity beyond his years. This wasn't a young player benefiting from a famous last name. This was a competitor earning his place through performance and precision, and the discussion didn't end at the 18th green. What was once seen as a legacy story had become something bigger, a genuine threat to the established order of junior golf. Charlie hadn't just won a tournament. He had launched a new chapter, one where he was the headline. He wasn't a weekend story anymore. He was someone players were now preparing for. This wasn't hype. It was real. Just days after his victory at the Team TaylorMade Invitational, Reuters reported that Charlie had jumped from 606th to 14th in the AJGA rankings, a massive leap that completely reshaped the junior golf landscape. One performance changed everything, not just because of how he played, but because of what it symbolized. With his new ranking, Charlie earned an automatic entry into the prestigious Junior Players Championship at TPC Sawgrass, the same stage where his father once made history. But this time, the story isn't about legacy. It's about a new chapter, his chapter. The name Woods now stands on the leaderboard not as a reminder of the past, but as proof of what's coming next. Critics initially dismissed it as a lucky weekend or a sudden hot streak, but the stats told a different story. 3 rounds under par, a steady, composed finish, and zero signs of chance. This wasn't golf magic, it was calculated, technical excellence. And when you can perform like that at 15, it's not a peak, it's a foundation. What began as another opportunity for Miles Russell to showcase his dominance ended with something far more significant. Junior golf no longer has a single king. The balance of power has shifted, and standing firmly in that new order is a name no one can overlook. Just like that, the question changed from can he compete to can anyone stop him?